Okay, great. And so I think you saw in the description, we've got three main buckets we're going to mastermind around today. Those are adaptability and innovation, a client-centric approach, and then resilience and mental toughness, where we'll end the mastermind. So, Cari, I think you've got the first question, so I'll let you take it away.
All right. So, okay. Yes. So adaptability and innovation is going to be key, I think, as we move into the new market. Being adaptable, right, Kat, is the most important thing. If we can't adapt to what is, we'll be left behind. There's always opportunity in every single market. It's just a matter of finding what that opportunity is and then being adaptable. I think innovation is important too, obviously. With technology, there's so much changing, and there has been so much changing, particularly in the last 5 years in our industry. So I love this part of the discussion. So what new workflows, what technology, what are you doing as far as innovation goes to help grow your business right now? Because I know that you are very technologically savvy, and I love to hear what you're doing.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things, and I'm going to list off some tools, and I'm going to email these tools out in case anyone wants to reference them after the call, so don't feel like you have to take notes.
Yeah.
The main tool that I use today is KV Core, because I finally have a broker that gives me a full-blown CRM that I can use for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Before I had that CRM, and I still use these other tools, by the way, I use an email marketing system called Flowdesk. Flowdesk is you can create segments for each client type. You can also create a link in bio through Flowdesk. You can also create automated email workflows through Flowdesk. So if you have a link in bio and then you have your segments correct, if you're trying to drive renter leads, buyer leads, seller leads, if you've got those three segments and your link in bio through Flowdesk, you can have them click that link, they'll pick who they are, and then they get automatically dumped into a workflow that's going to nurture them for however long your sequence is for. So it's really about batching your content. That's the toughest thing about implementing technology into your business. And now that we have AI, AI can help you build out these even longer sequences of follow-up and nurturing your database. But it's still an overwhelming task to put together that whole sequence. So another way I use these sequences that are automated nurturing is through the CRM tool I mentioned, KV Core, which any broker can get. It's just expensive, but if you're not with a broker, that's kind of cut a deal with them. But you can create a smart campaign where that smart campaign is automatically texting and emailing the client. You can also have them send automated listing searches and then automated marketing reports. So it's immediate value to someone who's maybe not ready to do a deal yet, but you're providing them high-level insights. You're allowing them to get to know you better through your own communication that you've automated. And it's really the only way you can grow your business in today's day and age, because we're so busy that we can't stay on top of all these different people that reach out to us and then fall flat. But people come back to you a year, 2 years, maybe 6 months later, if you continue that constant follow-up. In terms of an AI tool, my favorite AI tool is an app I have on my phone, and it's called Ask AI. And Ask AI is like Chat GPT, but on steroids. Ask AI can do way more. You can even have it write a pretty high-level article. It's fantastic for blog posting about specific topics. And thinking about how you can blog post is like, okay, if you're thinking of ways to follow up with clients and you're out of ideas, what I really like to do is write a blog post about something that people always ask me about. Get that blog on my site, have that be my follow-up versus just checking in. Really think about your follow-up and then automate it. It's very powerful so that your follow-up is educational, it's insightful, and it's really going to grab someone's attention over perhaps another broker who's also following up with that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have it on your website, you're drawing people back to your website, right?
Right.
And then if you have a website that people can actually search property or can, do different things now, or if you have past blog posts on there, it might keep them on there. They might see another topic. And that is what I think a lot of realtors don't do. Um, they're just sending out an email that maybe goes directly to spam, or somebody opens it and deletes it right away. But when you draw people to other places, that's huge as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Cari, what is a unique, because you work with so many agents across the country, I'm really curious to hear, what is a unique marketing strategy that you hear agents implement?
So I don't know if these are unique, but what I see working right now, because market has changed and across the country, the market's different all over the place right now. So, we've got some markets that are actually quite busy with some healthy activity. We have some that still have super low inventory, and we have some that are a little bit more stagnant, which is just interesting to see the different pockets in the US. But a couple of things that I've noted, the one thing that we're talking with everyone about right now is really finding some sort of niche. And I call it a niche because I've heard my whole life that the riches are in the niches, and that's why that stuck with me. A niche, a niche in business that's going to stand you apart from other people, other realtors. We all know this. We're not immune to the idea that there are, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, whatever, of realtors in our region around us. And when you look on social media, you can't turn anywhere without seeing another real estate agent. And so if you don't have something that, helps you to stand apart from all the other noise out there, it is very difficult to be competitive. Now, one of the things that I've noticed for people is that they get a little bit nervous about picking a niche in business because they think that they're going to pigeonhole themselves into something, that they aren't going to be able to work with other types of people. And I think that's completely untrue. I've never seen anybody get locked into a niche. It simply is just a space that they can stand apart. They can have very unique marketing. They can have, specific things that they are putting out there in blog posts, videos. The content is a lot easier. Using AI can help them to basically create months and months of content pretty easily now. But what it's doing is it's really just kind of separating the agent from the others, and it's helping them to get the calls and get the referrals. The other thing is that right now, what we need to be looking at is that in the last 5 years, a lot of people moved because they wanted to. Sounded like a fun thing to do. The numbers worked. Pretty much anybody could move because, we had extremely low interest rates and people had access to money and all of the things. And now we're moving more into a balanced market, and some markets might even be a buyer's market. And the people that are going to move are going to move because they have to. They're not going to move because they want to. There might be a few people that still move because they want to and they have the financial leisure of doing that. The mass majority of people are going to be very motivated to move in some way, shape, or form, and that's why they're going to do it. So we just did a training yesterday on how you go gather data using AI, what you do to create a kind of a funnel or a guide or a download on social for something specific, like going through a divorce or having to move to assisted living or relocation, or there's a lot of these things that are going to happen in people's lives because let's face it, life still happens. Unfortunately, sickness, death, divorce, getting older, needing to move into a different property, maybe even just having to move into single level, if not assisted living, but downsizing, losing a job, things of these nature, they always happen no matter what market we're in. It's not that it's just going to be timely and we're going to do this when the market's right. Of course, that's not true. So with all of that being said, I would look to, and what we're coaching all of our agents to, is look to those opportunities. How do you develop relationships with other professionals that service people going through those situations? How do you get your content out there that's going to draw in that sort of client? And how are you actually also talking to your sphere, your friends, your family, the people you're connected with about these specific situations that you can help with? Because remember, if you tell people, I'm here, I'm helping other people who might be going through some sort of divorce or moving their family into assisted living or having to move their family in with them, and so they need to sell property. I'm an expert in, estate sales or whatever the case may be. you have to be out there telling people and directing them as to how you can help other people. They all know other people going through things. And if you are very directed and pointed in what you're saying to them, they will say, oh my gosh, I know somebody that I should refer you to. Oftentimes, though, we're not specific enough as realtors, and we're just general. I can help people buy, sell, or invest in real estate. It's not specific enough. People are like, sounds good, I'll keep you in mind. But if we start talking about specific scenarios we can help with, it makes a huge difference. And so, obviously, this, Kat, but we have, a lot of investor outreach. We have an iBuyer program. We've got relocation certification, REO certification. We do have a huge senior network within our organization where people are helping each other figure out how to go and find people that are needing to move into assisted living, sell those properties. We've got, all of the things. And so that's what we're telling people is get into our systems and figure out what is important to you or what niche do you feel called to, and really dive into that a little bit, because that's what's going to help you in the market to come.
That's a good, being specific is key, and it's really hard to be specific. You have to rewire how you think of your marketing.
Yes. So with that, one of the things I find is that, we have these people, these agents that are actually getting more specific. They're doing the things that they're taught to do. They're starting to get more leads and more people reaching out to them, whether it be through their KV Core, however it is, social media. That's the other thing is we get leads so many different ways. How many of you are getting, somebody messages you on Facebook or Instagram, and then you get a text, and then you get an email, and then something comes in from your website. There's all of these different ways that we can get leads. And one of the things that I think is very difficult from a real estate agent perspective is staying organized with all of this, and also organizing the follow-up of it. So talk to us a little bit about how you do that, because you're so organized operationally. I'd love to hear your tips on that.
Yeah. So when I create any automation, I always put into the automation manual follow-up that has to come from me. So when I log in, they'll have some sort of dashboard we probably log into every day. I'll have a list of tasks that I have to complete that day. And usually where the workflow has stopped and it's telling me, okay, now you have to call this person or text this person or, leave them a voicemail kind of thing. And I think for any active lead, it is so crucial you call them at least once a week. Even if you haven't heard from them, you have to call them. And I know that sounds very basic, but I have enough agents that I mentor and I train. They do not pick up the phone and call.
Yeah.
In this environment where we're behind our phones and behind our computer screens, and if clients miss our calls all the time, but when they don't, that 10-minute phone call can be so valuable for you.
Yes.
Locking in that relationship. So I would first say to stay organized, make sure you have some touch points that a system isn't doing for you, that you have to do yourself, because then you remember who's in your database. It reminds you of something that you could send them, or a listing that reminded you, or something that you saw with another client. So that's very important and a way to stay organized. Other way I really like to stay organized back to segmenting clients is I really am loyal to segments. So if I'm an active client versus someone that's just a nurture client versus someone that's just a prospect, I have everyone labeled and their labels are correct. That way, when I know they pop up in my system, I know kind of where they are in the process. Outside of kind of staying organized in a system like a CRM, I am very loyal to calendar appointments. Yeah. Everything is in my calendar, even if I'm setting myself a reminder sometimes. I block off time in my calendar. So I've got different lead sources from Street Easy to Zillow to social to my email database. And I block off weekly, like an hour or 2 hours of when I'm going through my database, or I'm making phone calls, or I'm sending text messages, or I'm looking at inventory. That time blocking is really, you have to do that to stay organized. And if it's, you have to block it off on your time like you blocked off on coming to this mastermind. So I find that to be a really valuable tool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved what you said about the idea of following up with people isn't just a follow up to say, hey, I'm checking in. It's to actually follow up and build a deeper relationship. So making notes about what you talked about them last, what type of property they were looking at, what their reason for possibly looking at moving was, any sort of small note. So when you reach back out to them, it's more like, hey, Catherine, the last time we spoke A, B, C, D. So I thought I would just check in and see how that was going. Do you need anything? Like that is meaningful. They're like, wow, Catherine actually remembered our conversation. Even if they didn't remember you, they're going to want to continue to talk with you because you remembered them. And then that's how they're going to continue to want to pick up the phone and talk to you moving forward. And that's how you build a deeper relationship. I think the key to anything is using innovation to be able to stay more human, right? Using AI to be able to be more efficient and effective so that we can actually be more client centric. I think people think technology takes us away from that. If it takes us away from that, I think we're going to fail as entrepreneurs in real estate. If we use the innovation and become adaptable to what is happening, and we use it to make us more client centric, to have a better customer service and relationship driven business, then we're going to knock it out of the park.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's the best segue to client centric.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think so too. So we talked about innovation and adaptability. The next one that we really think is important, and Kat and I talk about this all the time, is this client-centric approach, really, really realizing the reason that people work with you is because they know you, like you, and trust you. That will never change, because as human beings, that's what we need to feel. We need to feel that we like someone, we know someone enough that we trust them, especially when we're purchasing one of the largest, things that we'll purchase in our life. So we have to remain client-centric, in my opinion. After 24 years in the business, I've been through lots of different markets, and the client-centric approach has never changed. The top producing agents have always focused on that. So, Kat, in that vein, how do you find right now you best engage your clients in bringing kind of this client-centric approach into it?
yeah, and whether it's a new client or someone that's like an older client that I'm trying to get back into the market, what I've done that I've found success with is putting Calendly links in a lot of that automated follow-up and
Yeah.
driving them to book a consultation with me. This is a great strategy for new clients that you're just trying to get to respond to you.
Yeah.
Because, if you're trying to meet a new client and you've never met them before and you're like waiting outside a property and you're like, who is this person? I'm just like, trying to find them. It is so valuable to meet them on a Zoom and to do a consultation, to introduce yourself, get the lay of the land from their end. Like, what are they looking for? What are their needs? Where are they in the process? So then when you meet for that first showing, you're already like a step ahead. And I do a lot of consultation calls with new or past clients, and I make it like a formal Zoom meeting. And
Yeah.
really great strategy and a great way to approach your clients, because usually when I get on a Zoom call, clients are like, oh wow, I've never done this with an agent before. So I would highly recommend doing that. The other thing I would recommend that, what we do is doing an event like this, but having it be educational for a group of clients that you're trying to engage.
Yeah.
How to do a co-op, right? How to pass a co-op board interview. What's it like? Create some sort of education. There's so much that people need to know. Market it as a free webinar and see who joins. And then you're in front of potentially 2, 5, 10 potential new clients that have never got back to you until they saw that you were hosting a webinar, and like, why not?
Yeah.
The last thing I would say is get together with a couple agents and all market like a happy hour together, or market a like meetup at a cafe together and just talk about the market. The one thing that works well in real estate is people love talking about real estate. So if you could, I think that's a pretty affordable thing to do. Get your date, send out a blast to your database and put together a small event, find the right local bar or cafe, whatever you want to do, and see who comes and meets you in person. Those are 3 ideas for me. Eventbrite is a great tool for virtual events. It's very affordable, and I think it's a fantastic way to just get out there in a way that a lot of agents are not. So it already sets you apart in that way.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, I love what you said about the events. And I wanted to just tack onto that for a second, Kat, because one of the things that we see happening in our group, and I know you've seen it with all of our partners across the country, is this idea of really of helping each other as agents, being collaborators instead of competitors. Because I mean, here's the deal. It doesn't matter. Of course, we're all competitors, whether we're sitting next to each other in a brokerage or not. But the reality is that there's plenty of business to go around, and the people that actually collaborate end up getting the most business, right? That has been a rule of thumb forever. I've watched that for the last, 14 years that I've been in leadership, but it's not always easy to do. But one of the things I love that you said is get a couple of agents and share this idea, share that the resource of doing an event together. One of the reasons that I think agents don't like to do events, whether it's virtual or in person, is because they're like, well, what if no one shows up? If there's only one person, two people? And that's the reality is, everybody's super busy, right? So it's possible that you're going to invite your whole database and only a couple people can actually attend, but that's okay because there's two purposes of doing an event. One is to invite your database and have a reason to reach out and actually talk to them, even if they never come. You still had that and brought that value to them and they appreciate it and you developed more of the relationship. So it's not always about who shows up. Of course, if we go through the process of doing an event, we want someone to show up. So if we do it with 2 or 3 or 4 other agents, if we all have a couple people show up, then it feels like there's more people. We have a better discussion. We're connecting with our own people anyway. It's not like we're stealing each other's clients, and we can share the costs. We can share the marketing. We can get more people, get more exposure. And so these types of shared resources is what we're doing all across the country. And agents are doing more business because they're doing it together, because likely they won't do it on their own, or if they do it on their own, it just takes more time and more money. And so they don't do it as often. The other key to any sort of outreach to your client is consistency, right, Kat? And you are so good at being consistent because you use technology to help you be consistent. But I see so many agents, and I have over the years of coaching and training and building teams, that they have fantastic ideas, but they do it once or twice a year because it becomes so tedious, right? They get busy and then they don't want to go through the organizing or the planning or the outreach or the marketing. But if you do it together with some other agents, you can really make the heavy load light on many, and you can do it more often because also it's less expensive, right? You can do it 10 times a year instead of just 2 and probably only spend a little bit more money. So I just wanted to add to that because honestly, that's one of the biggest things that I'm seeing that is really helping agents right now stay just front and center with their clients.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think educational content,
Yeah,
really where it's at, so that
yes,
you don't have to be selling $40 million worth of business and then
no,
about all of your closing. The
that's right.
is what clients want to know more about, and that's going to get you, I think, the best response from your database or
Yeah,
from clients. Karen,
yes.
I'm going to skip down just because I want to leave enough time for resilience and mental toughness, and it's already 10:30. But one thing I know that you talked about before is agents sending communication through a video versus
Mhm.
writing any text. And that
Yeah,
sounds really scary. But if a client sends you a question, I don't know, being like, can I see this property is still available? There are agents, very successful agents, that instead of emailing them back, they're sending a video of themselves saying, absolutely, that's available. Would you like to meet there Sunday at noon? And
yes.
I don't do that yet, but I plan on doing it. Can you chat about that for a couple minutes, and then we'll go right down to the last section?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love video. So you said something critical. It doesn't matter if you are a $40 million, sales agent or $4 million sales agent. If you are out on social and in email and in text message and however you're communicating with your sphere, your database of people that follow you, people that just know you, if you are constantly bringing items of value, and if you're doing it through video, 2 things happen. You become credible, consistent, professional, all the things that they want in a professional person, but you also become like very likable, human, relatable, and they feel like they know you. So you're accomplishing 2 things by sending video. If you send video out to your database of leads that you've hardly ever talked to, I promise you, if you do it consistent enough, the mass majority of those people will start to feel like they know you. Now you're already one step ahead. Now they continue to watch your video and you're likable. And then pretty much, pretty soon you're putting out content that's educational, and now you're competent and you have confidence, and now they trust you. And so you are literally building the foundation of a relationship that will make somebody want to work with you via video instead of having to meet with them 7 times at a coffee shop to do that. When I started in real estate, 24 years ago, literally we had to build relationships in meetings. We would have to meet with people in person 3, 4, 5, 6 times before they really, really felt like they knew us, liked us, and trusted us. And I remember having somebody come to my brokerage that I was running, and it was kind of when really social media just started. And he sat there and said, if you get on social media and you do a consistent job of posting, and video wasn't even out there, this is just posting at that time, you can cut down the time frame in which people need to meet you over and over and over again. And it was something like, you'd have to meet with that person for 25 coffees before they would, and they'd feel the same way if you would, have them on social media and you were consistently posting for like 2 months. And there was all of this data, and people were just like blown away because it creates so much more efficiency. We'll now move forward to today. We're moving out of posting into video because people will literally feel like they know you if you sit in front of them and share a video. So a couple of things. I know you use Loom. I think, Kat, I've used BombBomb for many, many years. I love BombBomb. BombBomb is actually a place where you can put your database or your sphere of influence, your clients, you can segment them. It's not a CRM, but it can be very organized. So you can actually go in there, create a series of videos, and then actually have it sent out automated on your behalf, but it's also on your phone. So you can send really quick video texts. You can send quick video emails through your phone when you're out and about. And of course, you can send it via email as well. It also tracks who's clicking on it and who's not. So you can see the data on the back end, which is really important, because if you have people that are watching it a lot, those would be people that you might want to pick up the phone and just check in with, because they're already really engaging and there's probably a reason why. And the likelihood of them wanting to talk to you is really high because they're watching all of your videos consistently. So I think that, video is critical for leads, cold leads. One of the biggest strategies we're seeing people use to literally convert cold leads is sending them a video. How many of you, when you go online and you search something up and then you get a phone call from that company, are actually picking it up? No. And most of the time you think it's some sort of automation. If you get a text message after you search on a website, you're like, oh, that's just some, bot that's texting me. You don't even care about it or think about it. But what if the salesperson from that company actually sent you a text and it was a video of them saying, hey there, Catherine, you were just on our website. I just wanted to let you know I'm a real human being. I'm not a bot. I'm here to help you. If you need something, reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you. It completely changes the response that you're going to get. And that's exactly what we're having our agents do when people search on their website or come on a sign call, or whatever means that colder leads are coming from. And when we're doing that and we're showing we're a human being, they're replying at a much higher rate.
Yeah. So video thought would be my main thing next year, like strictly video, whether it's a screen share or me talking, because you don't even read emails anymore, let's face it. So like entertain them in some way, it's going to really build your credibility. Okay. So I think for the last like 5 to 10 minutes, Cari is an absolute master at how to stay resilient and to be mentally tough. And as we know, the market wasn't great this year. And some agents could feel discouraged or feel defeated. And I think all that we talked about today is really not possible if you're not mentally in the right place. So, Cari, how do we keep moving forward in challenging times? And can you also talk about, you say a lot, failing forward. And I love that phrase. So if you can also, touch upon that.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Like, we can talk about business strategies all day long, and if we're not in the right mindset, we probably aren't going to implement any of those anyway, and it just doesn't matter. And so one of the things that I have learned over the last 14 years in leadership is that we really need to realize that there aren't that many business problems. Most of our problems really come from a personal challenge that we're facing in our mind, in our life, in our time management skills, in our communication. Something personal is what's leaking into business, and that's really creating most of our challenges. And so when I talk to clients, we focus a lot on mindset, mental toughness, and how we can get ourselves to do the things that we know we should do. Because I mean, if all of you on this call right now, if I asked all of you, do you know how to go out there and sell real estate? Generally speaking, do you know what you need to do in order to hit the goal that you have for yourself? And I mean tactically, if you had a robot in front of you and I said, you can make X amount of dollars, whatever your goal is, as long as you program this robot to do the activities in order for you to make X dollars, would you know what to do? And the answer is always yes, because even if you don't know right in this moment, you could Google it and figure it out. How many calls would I need to make, to how many expireds, to how many for sale by owners, to whatever, you would be able to find a strategy. Why? Well, because there's a bunch of strategies out there that other real estate agents have done or are doing that have helped them to make the money you want to make. So it's readily available. The information is readily available. If we want to do something, we can go find what to do. That's not the problem. The problem is we don't do what we know we're supposed to do. We can't get ourselves into consistent action. We can't get ourselves to do it. That actually comes down to mindset and mental toughness and discipline. So two things that I know really affect this. Number one is if we don't feel competent, we don't have confidence. Sometimes we need a little bit of confidence to get into action, to gain more competence. So there's a little bit of a chicken before the egg analogy here, but you have to constantly be working on your competence. And then you always have to be growing your confidence. The two are related, but they can be somewhat separate. What I mean by that is our confidence can grow by us just showing up for ourselves too. Like the confidence can grow by us saying like, I'm going to show up for myself and I'm going to go do that activity, even if I don't know exactly how to do it. Because every time we do something, even if we don't know exactly how to do it, maybe we're not perfect at it yet. We'll probably never be perfect at it. We feel very unqualified to do it. A, we've learned something. So we've gained some competence. And two, we've actually done something and shown up for ourselves, even when we didn't know exactly how to do it. We've gained confidence. Your competence and your confidence is what's going to draw other people, because the energy you have when you're competent and confident is completely different. So I always ask people, do you feel if you meet somebody that you are the best person to service them when they're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Do you feel like you're going to take care of them? You're going to be resourceful. You're going to work hard. You're going to do all of the things. And if the answer is yes, I am somebody that they are going to have a great experience with, then you're going to go out there and feel competent and confident to help them. But the second that somebody has hesitancy there, I'm not sure if I'm really the best person for them, it's going to be really hard for you to get yourself to do the things to go find new clients. So we work a lot on that competence and confidence. It's getting ourselves into action to feel that way and to gain those skills. And the second thing is expectations. I'd love to talk a little bit about that just for about 2 minutes here, because one of the biggest things that I think makes people have challenges in their mindset is the expectation. We have constant expectations of how our business is supposed to look, how much money we're supposed to make, what the market should be in order for us to be successful, how our clients should respond to us, how we should, be able to do things. The expectations are overwhelming, and it's something that our mind does all the time. The problem is the expectation in our mind actually does not ever equate to the reality. And so we find ourselves having a lot of expectations and feeling very frustrated and let down because our expectations are never met. So when we start going into action and activities, business planning, just doing our daily duties, and we don't tie so many expectations, but we just bring our best effort in that moment, and we know that our best effort in the moment is going to be different every moment, and that's okay. But that we have faith that the consistency of us putting forth effort is what gets the result. And the result is not under our control. The activity is under our control. The result is never under our control. If we have expectations of results, we're going to constantly be frustrated, and we're going to create a lot of our own suffering, right? But if we can control what we can control, focus on that, which is activity and consistency of activity, and bringing our best self in those activities, we can walk away from every day feeling like we did exactly what we were supposed to. But that requires us to have faith. Right? And if we don't have faith that doing activities consistently brings us the result we need, we're not going to stay in consistent activity. So we really have to strengthen our mind to have faith. We have to strengthen our mind to not focus on what we can't control, but rather focus on what we can and focus on activities. So in your business planning, the number one tip I would provide to you right now is absolutely focus on activities. Don't focus on results. Yes, have a long-term result. I'd like to hit X amount of transactions. I'd like to hit X amount of volume because it equates to a certain amount of income. That's fine. But when you're talking about your day-to-day planning, your month-to-month planning, and your kind of checking back in, which I encourage you to do every month, it has to be focused on activities because that's what you can do. And then last but not least, failing forward. I mean, here's the deal. Everybody loves to use the word failing forward. I'm going to fail forward, but we do that because we want to give ourselves permission that we might fail. So we feel better about it when we do it, but we don't like to fail. So we'll stop ourselves and we'll freeze when we start to fail, and it will hold us back from trying again. There's so many people who have tried to build teams, for an example, and agents have left them and they feel so defeated and they don't go try again. What we should be realizing is that every single one of these experiences is a step on the ladder. If we learn from them, we never fail. We move forward to the next thing so that next time we can be a better version and we can get to the next level. And that's how we get from this bottom rung all the way to the top, right? So failing forward means A, you actually have to fail. And then B, you have to be okay with it, accept it, and then learn from it and grow. But most people say failing forward because they're just afraid to fail. And then when they do fail, they freeze and they don't actually use it to help them move forward. In fact, many people go backwards for a while before they even get back to a lateral place, because their mind is not tough enough to realize that, number one, they are not their business. And if something in business fails, they're not a failure. Those are two very distinct things. But if you attach them together, your failing forward is going to be a lot harder for you.
And I'll just add to that, doing one thing consistently.
Yeah.
Is key to all of this. And I think entrepreneurs in real estate or in any industry, biggest is doing something consistent and not getting results. But if you're not consistent enough, you're not gonna fail a couple times to then adjust your approach to have it be a winning task, right? As you start doing something consistently, you will have feedback. You'll know what you have to adjust, change in your messaging to hit it. So like, if you do one thing consistently, I'm going to send this intro email to all new seller leads, to all new buyer leads, and you don't get a response. That intro lead, that's not working. So now you have to change it. And then you start getting some responses, but then those people have questions. Okay, now you change it. The consistency is what gives you the answers to then progress forward, but staying consistent is what people can't truly commit, I find. So I just love your whole, it comes full circle with what Cari just said. And Joshua, thanks for your comments. I think it is the perfect ending to our mastermind. So does anyone have any questions or comments before we end the call today?
Did you guys learn any new things about technology or any of those things new to you, or do you have any to add to each other? I loved some of the tips that you gave, Kat. Some technology, some things that people can look into. Flowdesk was a great one. I love Calendly. I love sending a link to have your client sign up because it's all about their schedule and then you don't have to go back and forth. So it creates so much efficiency. Those are such great tips. The other thing is whenever you send a calendar invite to a client, it goes to them and then it reminds them, and you can remind them. And it's I always say to people, I sent you an invite. I'm looking forward to seeing you Friday at 2. And then as we get closer to Friday at 2, I wanted to make sure that you had the calendar invite for Friday at 2 and people accept it, the likelihood of them actually showing up is greater. So if you have a lot of people, lots of leads or clients that are no-shows, that would be a huge tip. I've seen that change people's businesses in a big way.
Yeah, the Calendly link is huge. And I don't have the exact numbers on this, but guarantee my closure ratio has increased by creating a consultation virtually over Zoom and sending a link, because people are too busy to deal with the annoying back and forth. When are you available? When am I available? I can't do that time.
Yes.
It's so easy. You're going to get in front of more people by just the Calendly link.
Yeah.
is a great tool. I have a 50% off link that I'll send out to everybody. Ask AI. Don't Ask AI is huge. It's way better than Chat,
Yeah.
and it's cheap. It's like a $70 one-time fee. So I would highly recommend that. Especially,
Yeah.
doing an article or a blog post, because you follow up with an article that you've written that answers a question of a handful of clients that they ask you. Now they're like, oh wow, they wrote an article and they're sending me the article for further insight. It's these little things that can really take you so far, and having the right tools will make it that much easier. Like, instead of a blog could have taken me like 30 minutes to like perfect. Now it like takes 7, because I'll
Well,
have,
and I mean, Kat, if you have other people asking you that question, the masses are out there asking that question. They're thinking the same question. Your clients give you the questions that other clients want answers to. So they're basically giving you your content. And so I always say, like, what are the top questions you're getting asked right now? This is the content you should be doing video about, blogs about, all of that. And the Ask AI is also a great thing to just give you little snippets for videos. Most people don't want to do video because they don't know what to say and they're just running out of content. So just ask AI, like, for, buyer clients in this situation, like, give me 10 video tips, and then you can expound on those, and it'll give you your script. I mean, it really is pretty amazing.
yeah. And Loom is really cool because your face in the video is in a smaller circle, so you feel less on display. And it's great if, let's say, you're sending a couple listings to a client. You can quickly share your screen. You're smaller in the corner, and you can be like, here are 5 listings that I really want you to consider, and here's why. And you
Yes.
go through the listings, go through the pictures, show them the floor plan, and walk them through each listing, versus just sending them links and hoping that they take a look. The video,
Yes.
you build rapport. And I think for agents who are a little shy on camera, at least you're not all on camera. It's very small in the corner. I'll
That's right.
have a Loom discount link. I'll take a look, because Loom is great.
I mean, honestly, that's fantastic because yes, Joshua, exactly. You could actually pull up your MLS and just kind of like, or pull up a map of a neighborhood, and you could actually be sharing your screen and talking about something for a client and having it on video, sending it out to clients that were searching in that area. It's really, really cool, to bring up things like that. And then of course you can do your own presentations, but even just in screen sharing and talking about something makes it really easy to do.
With like closing cost breakdowns, like,
Yeah.
so great. Like, Joshua, you use that tool, but now I want to know, well, how do you use it? Because
Yeah.
we can all mastermind and figure out, if we all use like these same 3 tools, but how are you applying it? How am I applying
Yeah.
it? Most likely we're applying it in different ways. Like, I would also use Loom to run closing cost breakdowns for like condos versus like
Yeah.
you can just run those numbers on an easy calculator, do a screen share, and explain
Yes.
what the difference is, versus just sending text in an email. I mean,
Yeah. I love it.
really, yeah, I'm like thinking of more, I guess, how I would use Zoom since I'm on this call. So
I know. I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
but thank you so much for the comments, and we really appreciate you joining. And I'll send out the recording and some of these tools. And if you want to connect with us more, you know where to find us.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kat. Happy holidays, everyone.
Holidays, everyone.